How you doing, everybody? Hey, John and Marita, and let's see, Joseph. Hi, Joseph. Louis, good to see you again. Dominic, Hans. Hey, Junior. How you doing? Um, I get started right away because I think uh I think we're in for a big change. I think anyway. It could be wrong. We'll see what happens. Hey, flippin' Zippo. One of the, I guess, the thing I wanted to talk about was where's mechanical watches going? And the answer is, I think in the wrong direction. Okay, I'm going to sound like an old fogey. I am an old fogey, um, but y- what watch companies are doing? Watch companies like Patek Philippe, uh, just about all of the Swatch owned watches, uh, not Rolex. Okay, they may have one toe in it now, and this is going for silicon. Okay, uh, what are they? Tag Heuer and Kasapi, their new leader. They seem to be going toward carbon, which I think is going to have pretty much the same effect as uh, silicon. Okay. Uh, Let me tell you all of the good things about silicon, and according to from things I read, carbon is even better. Is that it's totally non-magnetic, and the big problem that they've had for years with mechanical watches is that their is magnetism screws them up. My FP Journe Chronomet Souverain that gets clunked by magnetism. Now, if they put in a silicon escapement or a silicon hairspring, they'd probably cut it down to near zero. That's one advantage. The second advantage is that heat and cold differences don't affect the spring as much. And uh, when they affect the spring, I mean, there's going to be the timing is going to be offset. All right. Now, like I said, what I'm saying are the advantage of this, and they're very practical things. In other words, Patek Philippe is thinking, okay, we're going to make practical watches. Now, I don't know whether we got into this whole hobby for practical watches. I mean, a practical watch these days is a smartwatch. You get a smartwatch and you're way, way ahead of the game, not only of mechanical watches, but quartz watches and everything else. All right. Now, having said that, is that well, what about what's wrong with a mechanical watch that's also accurate? And the only thing that they have in there that is non-traditional metal is silicon or carbon. Well, the difference is this: with a hairspring, you can't adjust it. I mean, you can't adjust it. It's sort of there, and you can't go in with a toothpick and go tick, tick, or you can't. I mean, there's all kinds of things with it you can't do. Some people claim, well, it's brittle and it's going to break after a few years, and they ought to know about that. I don't. I don't know if there's any real evidence of that. I don't think that's the problem with silicon. Companies like H. Moser and what do they call Precision Instruments, or the name of their movement making. What they have done, they've done a bunch of things. So is Rolex with the Parachrome, is that they use niobium and titanium in H. Moser and niobium and chromium in Rolex. All right. Now Rolex was part of this three group deal that they made with Swatch, Rolex, and the third one was see Swatch, Rolex, and Patek Philippe. And I think it's since 2009, Patek Philippe has had silicon. So here's the thing is that everybody knows Patek Philippe's tagline. You don't own a Patek Philippe, you sort of inherit it. And so when you're talking about inheritance, you're really talking about some kind of status symbol. And rather than a practical watch, okay, like I said, I can out practical them without even breathing hard with a smartwatch. You can buy a cheap smartwatch and get better precision. And so they're selling more than just um, so-called precision. Now, this is so as more and more go in that direction, something happens, and that is that companies like H. Moser, they can do one of two things. They can either keep making their Strawman hairspring that has a very excellent hairspring, which you can adjust. Um, Atocalpa, that makes them for the Sandoz Family Foundation, and Parmigiani. I mean, a lot of watches have that kind of hairspring, and along with the Straussman. H. Moser makes something, I don't know, 50, 70,000 hairsprings, and they make like 2 or 3 thousand watches a year. So they're going to someone else. Uh, F.P. Jorn went to a place in San Francisco called the Firehouse, and the Firehouse makes silicon. And like I said, my for some reason my resonance I never has a problem with that, but my chronomet Surain does, and I don't know why. I mean, I do. The what makes things magnetize. Now, is that going from one spot to another on a practical level? Okay, because I don't think our hobby is really practical. We're not practical people in the sense if we were practical people, we'd go out and get a smartwatch and call it a day. But we're looking for something else that is not necessarily available in the practical watches that are being made by Patek Philippe, for example, because there's no artistry in the hairspring or the adjustment of it that I can see. You take George Daniels' book on watchmaking, and he doesn't even like curb regulators because they're too easy to regulate. You turn a little screw or something, or push a needle to to adjust it. One of the new ones by Agenor is an incredible regulator called the Agon Pit, and you have these screws you undo, and it's very easy to move and change it, and then you screw it up, and then you put it in the time grapher until you get it right. You can't do that. You can't do those kinds of things with a silicon based or a carbon based, I think, uh, hairspring. So that's what I think that's not the way I'd like to see it go. Now, you could have two different directions. Some of them, like Patek Philippe and Swatch and so forth, they'll take these traditional names and off they go. And then other companies will go in a different direction. And I don't know. That's sort of what I see as the future direction. And if the sales of the silicon based ones are such that it's just not, you can't keep up with them, then they'll probably all go that way. But anyway, why not just go back to making quartz watches? That's okay. Okay, doke. Yeah, Dominic, you're right about the cost benefit. Everything is better about it. I'm not saying that. This is just a thing. Okay. All right. Let's see what you guys. Oh boy, you got a lot to say. That's good. Okay. Hi, Thomas and Tim, and hey, the ranchers here. Thomas, another Thomas, Tuna, Mr. Tuna. How are you? Let's see, Lord Hellspont, how are you? The fifth. Neff, hi Neff. Tim, Beauty of Scent. Have you seen the goat milker lately? No, I haven't. Is Bill blurry or am I having an aneurysm? Could be both. I'll tell you right now, we're in the middle of a blizzard. Let me show you what. I was just looking at this. Um, I can't. I mean, there's some other things that aren't working too well. Here we go. See if you can see this. No, I guess not. Where's my camera? There it is. No, you can't see it. Too much light. Anyway, it's 14 degrees Fahrenheit. That's snow coming down, and as the day goes on, it's going to go down to 7 degrees tonight. So it's cold, and it could be blurry. I mean, I could be blurry, or it could be an aneurysm, or any number of things that you've been watching something. Hey Hans, how you doing? Carbon equal expensive. You know, somehow I think that when you see, I don't know how carbon is produced, Hans, and it could be expensive. Um, the kinds of hairsprings that H. Moser make are also very expensive. Pretty good ones though. Okay, so what do you guys have to say? Okie doke. Hi Tark, Chartillery. All right, let me see. Everybody's talking to everybody else. You don't own COVID. You just carry it for the next generation. That's funny now. Okay, Hans, let's see. Mechanical equal art. You look at time on your smartphone. Mechanism is beautiful to look at. There you go, Hans. Doesn't Agenor have a new improved for managing hairsprings? No, it's the Agon pit that's for managing hairsprings. It's in their regulator. The Agon pit is this incredible gearing that they have. One of the ways that watches lose time, any watch, whether they can stuff them with all the silicon they want, but you're going to still have these gears going against each other. And what they have is there's some play between the teeth and the gears. And what the agonist is that they took a tooth and they put half of it, they split it in half, and one half is a spring. And so what happens is that when the tooth goes in there, the spring uh, stops any play, and so you end up with a far more accurate. I mean, it's really an incredible gearing they have, and it's a proprietary Agonor. They have a that and some of the aspects of their chronograph, the chronogram. Okay, Dominic, silicon is a cost benefit. Making exact machine made duplicates is easy and expensive, so no manual interwoven, no hand, yeah, no people involved. The fine tuning or adjustment saves labor, removes the heart and soul from the watch. That's right. That's what I think anyway. I mean, it's in the same way that a quartz does. I mean, you pop in a quartz, you put in a battery, and Bob's your uncle. But with what Dominic is talking about, it's exactly the same problem that I have with it. You've got this soulless wonder with a watch. When I look at this, when I found out how to do this, so you can see it, look at that movement. I mean, this is really a beautiful movement. This was done by um, Jean-Marc Viderec. Okay, and you're not going to get things like that. You can start throwing things together. You don't even have to worry about adjusting them. Okay, this one is. I mean, your top all of your top watches say adjusted to 6 positions. Something like 1, 2, 3, 4. I don't know what they are, but there's 6 positions that they're adjusted to, and then they take it out and they somehow average it, and that's how you get your best watches. You can throw a watch out on the market without any kind of adjustment, but how you can adjust anything with the silicon. But like I said, it's a practical thing, and people say, well, if it's practical, it must be good. No, our hobby's not practical. If we were practical people, we wouldn't be doing this. We do something our wives would want us to do. Okay, let's see what else you guys have to say. Hi, Mark. Hello to you too. Um, Practical is a solar powered quartz. Yeah, I agree, Mark. Exactly. My brother is very much into solar powered this and that, and he's got a solar powered house. He's got a solar powered watch. That, and I agree. I got solar power. I wouldn't want to go back to paying what I did for electricity. But this is like I'm saying is that we have a situation where I guess somebody is saying, well, look, if somebody looks at a watch and they rarely look at the movement. And I'm sure they had a bunch of smart people in their research department saying, they just want something that's accurate, and they're probably right. But on the other hand, they don't, and they save a lot of money doing it that way too. Okay, it's 70 degrees. Okay, hey, traveling nomad, how you doing, man? Hi, Robert. What's up? I like silicon hairsprings, but not a fan of silicon. Oh, come on now. See, they keep Robert. They block all that stuff automatically. So okay. And silicon for implants is spelled with an E. All right. Read the end of my comment. Use of silicon removes. Yeah. No, I did that. You're exactly right, Dominic. That's what I was talking about. Um, What part of the country are you in? Northeast, New England. Yeah, that's where I am. Hello from Miami. Uh, the thing about Miami is that that's where they have all these great um, watch service companies. That's where I go. I had my Parmigiani and both of my FP Journe service there. Of course, it almost got blown away by a hurricane and jammed things up for a month. we all have our we all have our crosses to bear. Um, I have a regulator, but it's a clock. Oh, okay, yeah. Now there's two kinds of regulators. One regulator is the watches where every hand has a separate dial. The other kind is the regulator that you have. It usually you'll have a little stick or something. You move it one way or the other, and that will either tighten or loosen the spring depending on whether your timing is too fast or too slow. A lot of that stuff too. You don't have to do it all because it has to do with it's magnetized or not. When my FP Journe gets goofy like that, I just give it a zap in my demagnification uh, gizmo, and give it a few juices, and it's sort of like giving it a frontal lobotomy. Okay. Okay, doke. Let me see. Hi, Alexander. How you doing? I'm tired of plowing. Hope all is well. You've been plowing, Alexander. Plowing snow. Yeah. Hi, Joseph. What's up? Uh, Given its mechanical instability, Calabrese will have a go at to Liga technology. It may be silicon due to the apparent excessive friction to make it work. He started this. Joseph, Calabrese has another thing, some kind of system, it's Calisys or something like that. That doesn't use a hairspring. It uses some lever system. I forgot the name of it. Junior, it's going to be below zero here tonight. Yeah, I don't know. It's way below zero with we got 25-mile-an-hour wind outside. The good thing is blowing all the snow off the roof. Um, so that's a good thing. Oh my goodness. I can't. You have your name in Cyrillic. I'll call you Cyrillic writer. Hello, how are you? I think silicon is just a material that has become included as technology evolves. It is really that much of a hurdle to get over. You know, Thomas, was quartz one for you to get over? Was that hard for you to get over? Thomas, why don't you go back and get one of your old quartz watches and forget all these silly mechanical ones? Okay. Hope you don't have trouble with that. Oh, honestly, mechanical watches are solar powered. I don't know. The plants eat the sun. You and animals eat the plants, and you and the animals are both plants are solar. Okay, now, uh, three 36 degrees Fahrenheit. Yeah, that's out in Washington State. Yeah. Do you mean across or sector dial? Yeah. Okay. Hey, Mark, how you doing, man? Uh, what are microbrands? Oh, yeah, that was another thing I wanted to talk about are microbrands. Microbrands, you know, really a lot of these top watchmakers could be microbrands in the sense that they don't make too many watches. Um, there might be a better name, and I call them cobble brands because they cobble together somebody else's uh, movement. They put a bunch of decorations on the case, and out the door it goes. That's usually what the typical micro brand is. I guess we differentiate between micro brands and what would the other one be? And sort of watchmaker brands. That might be a good way to differentiate the two. Okay. Besides silicon, is there more to say about the future of watchmaking for us as collectors? For me, it'd be a see-through case back. Well, you mean like a total one made out of Roman? This would be one made out of man-made sapphire, something like that. Uh, oh, hey, Alexander, South Windsor. Yeah, you guys are a little further toward the coast, and that's is you further away from the coast with this particular storm, the better off you are. Uh, Love Paddock, all silicon hairsprings, forgive them. You know what I like about Paddock Philippe? There's some models. They quit making the Gondolo, and if I can find gondolas before 2009 and after certain models that I like, those are the ones that I like to go after because they really make beautiful movements in those. Same thing is sort of like a Rolex Prince. I'd love to get one of those things. Uh, hey, Thomas. Oh, God. Oh. Hey, Tuda, what's up? Quartz has a place. Yeah, I've got nothing against quartz. I mean, it's like that's just not what you don't have to be against something to like something, okay? I like mechanical watches with adjustable hairsprings, curb regulators, and other kinds of things that make it more interesting. Okay, that's all it is. Is that when you get it? Have you seen the way that silicon hairsprings come out? They come out in a wafer, the big wafer, and then you cut them out, sort of like the same way they put components, computer components. A lot of these little ones, they're on little silicon wafers, and then they have some circuitry in there. And if you like that, that's fine. Uh, okay, Neff is asking about the project watch. Uh-oh. Oh man, that thing is that's something. Now let's talk about that. This is one of the things I won't say too much or people get mad at me, but let's talk about this. Hey, Mad Steve and everybody else, guests 2798, and Rich. Hi, Rich. Anthony Vaughn. Oh boy, I think we'll continue to see a trend of microbrands with limited release pieces. Yeah, hey, there was a guy today. I watched this. I haven't seen him before. And I don't know his name, but I really liked him, even though I didn't agree with him. He's one of these guys that gets out there, about talking about watches, and I think they ought to quit doing this, and I don't want to ever see this again. And he was going on and on. Very entertaining guy, very likable. But I didn't disagree. I mean, I didn't agree with much that he said. I just liked him. So that's we have that. But the thing is that um his big thing was, oh, you can't do this anymore. You can't do this because too many people are doing it. I mean, it's like saying too many people are using a gear train. Let's cut that out. All right. So let's talk about some of the ways. This is where we are right now. There's been a shift upward in price. I mean, just kablooey. A lot of people were out of the game anyway. Before that, I mean, something watches around 20,000 have gone up to 30 and 40,000. I mean, that just up they went. Will they come down again? Not if they can sell them all, which means if there are enough, people with lots of money to buy all of them up, there's not going to be many for sort of the typically irresponsible watch collector. Now, when you talk about $5,000 for a watch, you're really talking about a lot of money. I mean, $5,000. God, I know that if my wife and I decide to get something for $5,000, it's like a big discussion. But on the other hand, a watch, it's sort of like, oh, maybe not. So there's some kind of range, I guess, that before you cut into junior's college fund or something like that. What are the alternatives? And we've seen the micro brands, and some of them um, will are will simply go out and they'll get a good movement. The UWD, what, 33.1 or 33.2 that Lang and Hein have, one of the better Vauchur. Mojon may have those ones, one by Crenode. These are other ones that they can put together watches with. I mean, these are by top-notch watchmakers and watch and movement designers. So you can get some of those, and then as a micro brand, they can put those together and out they go. But there are other kinds of things. People say, "Well, how's your project coming along?" Project is very difficult. I'll put it that way. I mean, there's so many moving parts, and it's very expensive. But with a group, it's less so, significantly less so. I'll put it that way. But man, I tell you, not easy. This is why in I think the last video I had on the Mojon, I said, you can get 10 guys together. They can get one of the entry level movements. Actually, it's a notch above entry level. It's an automatic with time and date. And so you have a movement by a quality movement maker, and then you get a case for it and some other kinds of things and put it together, and here you have a watch by a top-notch watchmaker. You do that for under $2,000. Um, One thing, people say, well, how are you going to put it together? It wouldn't be rocket science to buy the components, go down to your watchmaker and say, could you put this together for me? $100, couple $100, and you're still coming up with a top-notch watch under $2,000. By a top-notch watchmaker. Whether or not you can get 10 guys to agree on that or not, that's another thing. So that's one of the sort of more projects like that. Um, some of the micro are what do they call the little ones? I forgot what the name is that they like to use, because I think they confuse them with watchmaker brands. They can do that, and if they come in at a reasonable enough price, have a good enough movement, they can do it. Did you mention Mojan's involvement with UJ? Yeah, yeah, Rancher Mojan was also involved with that hydro HYT. He had something to do with that, and he was also involved in developing the Urban Jurgensen P4. And I think he and Derek Pratt and some other people had the tent escapement that they put together. How that's working is another story. Uh, Thomas, yes, the dice is really a very cool watch. To me, it's sort of like it's something like a Rattrapant, but it's not because it's got the double things. And I mean, it's sort of a cross between a resonance and a Rattrapant because they've got two independent gizmos working in it, and yet at the same time, it just has those pushers on either end of it. Very cool. Yeah, Joseph, yes, you're right. He is all over the map. Okay. Okay. Okay, guys. Anyway, well, I think that what we ought to do as collectors, you know, you got to everyone's got to make up their own mind about things like silicon. If you're okay with it, enjoy it. If you're not, find things that have no silicon in it. And somebody said he was accused of being called a purist, and he said, "Thank you. I am a purist." And in that respect, so am I. I mean, like, I don't wanna buy stuff that they solve problems by, "Oh, hey, silicon is okay. We'll put silicon in," and say, "Oh, well, people don't like to wind it. Oh, okay, we'll put a battery in it." It's like there are other kinds of solutions. I like the old-fashioned solutions. Wind them up and let them rip. Okay, guys, something to think about and something we're gonna have to think about, I think. Either that or go without watches or get crummy cheap ones, which none of us want. Anyway, everyone stays safe until this stupid thing's over, and don't drive in the snow. I know a lot of guys down south, we're in the Atlantic, what they call the Atlantic region, Virginia and parts of Maryland, and where they don't have this kind of snow we have up here. Really be careful of this stuff. That stuff is crazy, really crazy. Hi, Hobby. How you doing, man? Okay, we'll see you guys. Take care. Adios. And then good. I'm glad they stopped that, Rancher.